In this video, we'll be looking at the clinical features of acute appendicitis. I've done a separate video on Mantel score or the Alvarado score. So for Mantel score, please refer to that video. In this video, we'll be looking at the common symptoms of acute appendicitis and the various fascinating signs which are associated with acute appendicitis. So now to understand the various symptoms of acute appendicitis, we first have to understand that the appendix has various positions. Now, why does the appendix have various positions? This is because during development in the embryo, there is physiological herniation of the bowel. Now, when the bowel returns into the abdomen, the cecum rotates as well. So, when the cecum rotates, depending on the extent to which the cecum has rotated, the appendix may sometimes rotate along with the cecum completely, or sometimes it will not rotate. So, depending on the extent to which the appendix has rotated along with the cecum, you get the various positions. Now, the most common position of the appendix is retrocecal. This is 74%. Now, it is retrocecal, but it is intraperitoneal. It is not retroperitoneal, it is intraperitoneal. The second most common position is the pelvic position. After pelvic position, you also have then you have the other positions. So you have pre-ileal, post-ileal, paracecal, subcecal. Pre-ileal where it is anterior to the ileum, post-ileal it is posterior to the ileum, paracecal it is adjacent to the cecum, subcecal it is below the cecum. You also have retroperitoneal appendix. Now, because the appendix is a midgut structure, the pain from the appendix, from all midgut structures, it is referred to the periumbilical area in the midline. So, that refers to the irritation of the visceral peritoneum. So, initially you have periumbilical pain. Now, so this is the visceral peritoneum. Now, as the somatic peritoneum gets inflamed or affected, you have the somatic peritoneum being affected. So, when the somatic peritoneum is affected, you classically get pain in the McBurney's point. Now, this McBurney's point, you have to draw an imaginary line which joins the anterior superior iliac spine to the umbilicus. Then you have to look at the junction, which is the medial 2/3 and the lateral 1/3. That junction is called the McBurney's point. So, the first thing that the patient will tell you is it is migratory pain, which means initially the patient would complains to you that he had periumbilical pain, which is now migrated to the right lower quadrant in the right iliac fossa region. As it progresses, the patient will complain to you of the patient can pinpoint to a particular position until it is paining over here, and the patient usually points to the McBurney's point. That is called finger pointing sign. Then you have something called rebound tenderness. Rebound tenderness is, so when you do deep palpation of the abdomen, you are going to touch the appendix by putting that much pressure on the abdomen. So now when you release it suddenly, as you release it, the patient complains of pain. That is called rebound tenderness. This rebound tenderness can also be elicited by percussion over that area, over the right iliac fossa region. It can also be elicited by asking the patient to cough. Now, when you release, as you're releasing the abdomen, and supposing if at that moment the patient has pain, it is called rebound tenderness. It is also given one more name called Bloomberg's release sign. There are actually quite a few signs with acute appendicitis. It is actually pointless to know these signs because invariably you will get a radiological investigation, preferably a CT scan, to diagnose acute appendicitis. But then this is part of the surgical literature, and many of these exams, even some of these old time examiners, they are very fond of asking these signs. So, the Bloomberg's release sign is seen when you release the appendix. Now, when you get the appendix which is retroperitoneal in position, you will get back pain or flank pain or loin pain, because that is the part of the abdominal wall where the inflamed appendix is being in touch. Now, supposing the appendix is retrocecal and retroperitoneal, you might get a silent appendicitis. This is because it is not in contact with the peritoneum. Therefore, it will be a silent appendicitis. But he may complain of rigidity of. But when you are examining him, you will see that the patient has rigidity of the quadratus lumborum. This quadratus lumborum is a muscle of the posterior abdominal wall. So basically, this retroperitoneal is retrocecal only. Now, in a retrocecal appendix, you're going to get one more sign which is called the iliopsoas sign. Now, the iliopsoas sign, basically you're going to get pain in the right lower quadrant when you extend the right thigh. So now how do you do this sign? You have to first place the position in the left lateral position, and when you ask the patient, his knees are flexed. By default, the patient will be in a flexed knee position because that is going to give him relief from pain. Just like in a peritonitis patient, a patient is lying still, or in a patient ureteric colic, the patient is moving around constantly trying to get the best position to lie down. Likewise, in acute appendicitis, by default, the patient will be in a flexed position because that will give him relief of pain. So when he extends his right thigh, he gets pain. That is called the iliopsoas sign. This sign is usually elicited when first you ask the patient to be in left lateral position. So he is in left lateral position, and by default his knees are flexed, his thigh is flexed. When you ask him to extend the right thigh, he gets pain. This is called the iliopsoas sign. Now supposing after he is extended, supposing the patient is able to extend the leg. If you ask the patient to elevate the extended leg against resistance, the patient complains of pain. This is called Baldwin sign. Next, let us look at a pelvic appendix. Now, in a pelvic appendix, what happens is, since the appendix is in the pelvis, it will irritate the structures in the pelvis. So, if it irritates the rectum, it will cause tenesmus, it will cause diarrhea. And it can also cause, if it irritates the, in a female patient, if it irritates the vagina, the patient will complain of vaginal pain. The patient will also complain of increased frequency of micturition. Now, in pelvic appendicitis, you are going to get one more sign called, I missed one point. In pelvic appendicitis, when you do a DRE, when you do a digital rectal examination, the patient complains of pain. In a pelvic appendicitis, there is also one more fascinating sign called obturator sign. This is named after the person who discovered it, called Cope. So, Cope's test. Basically, the function of the obturator internus is the internal rotation of the hip joint. So, now in pelvic appendicitis, what happens is the inflamed appendix, it is in constant touch with the obturator internus. So, it is not allowing that muscle to function. The function of the obturator internus is the internal rotation of hip. So, when the patient tries to do internal rotation of the flexed hip, it will cause pain in the hypogastrium. This is called Cope's obturator sign. Actually, one very easy way of remembering signs is, instead of calling it as obturator sign, also called Cope's test, you should call it Cope's obturator sign. Then next is the Rolfs-Singh sign. Rolfs-Singh sign, what happens is, when you put pressure, this brown dot that I have put over here, it indicates the point where you are going to put pressure. When you put pressure in the left lower quadrant, the patient complains of pain in the right iliac fossa or the right lower quadrant. This is because when you are applying pressure on the left lower quadrant region, the bowel loops get displaced. As the bowel loops get displaced, the appendix might, the inflamed appendix, it might come in contact with the somatic peritoneum. That will cause pain in the right lower quadrant. This is called Rolfs-Singh sign. Then there is another sign called Aaron sign. Aaron sign, you palpate in the right lower quadrant, but you get pain in the epigastrium. Next, we have the Bachelor sign. In the Bachelor sign, what happens is, this is seen in chronic appendicitis. And what happens in this sign is, when you compress the appendix between the abdominal wall and the iliacus, that is, when you do very deep palpation, the patient complains of sharp pain. Now, this sharp pain is seen only in chronic appendicitis. It is not seen in acute appendicitis, and this is called Bachelor sign. Then there is something called a 10-horn sign. 10-horn sign is pain caused by gentle traction of the right testicle. So, I think the doctor who came up with this would have had very good imagination. So, when he did gentle traction of the right testicle, he realized that the patient has pain in the right lower quadrant. And this is called 10-horn sign. Now, when the patient has pain on coughing, it is called Dunphy's sign. Next, there is something called cutaneous hyperesthesia. Cutaneous hyperesthesia is seen by when you stroke the skin in the region of the Sharon's triangle. The patient has a increased sensitivity, that is called hyperesthesia. So, cutaneous hyperesthesia is elicited in the Sharon's triangle. Sharon's triangle, the three boundaries of it are formed by. So, for the first boundary, you join the anterior superior iliac spine with the umbilicus. Second, you join the umbilicus to the symphysis pubis. Third, you join the anterior superior iliac spine and the symphysis pubis. So, in this region, within the Sharon's triangle, if you are stroking, the patient has a sensation of cutaneous hyperesthesia. This is supposed to be very unpleasant for the patient. Then we have another unusual sign, another fascinating sign called the Bastides sign. Now, the Bastides sign, again, the doctor who came up with this would have had a very fertile imagination to come up with this sign. So, what he did was he put a tube through the rectum and he inflated air through it, as in he pushed air through the rectal tube. So, as he pushed air through the rectal tube, there was pain seen in the right iliac fossa. So, this is called Bastides sign, and this was suggestive of acute appendicitis. Now, this test for obvious reasons is no longer done because the patient will doubt your intentions if you do this test, first of all. Secondly, and that is just for for a joke. Secondly, more importantly rather, there is risk of perforation if you try to inject air through the rectal tube. Lastly, we have something called a Murphy's triad. Murphy's sign is seen in acute cholecystitis. Murphy's triad is seen in acute appendicitis. This triad consists of three components: pain, vomiting and temperature. More importantly, these three symptoms come in sequence. First, there is pain, then there is vomiting, and then there is temperature. So, because of the intense pain, the patient vomits, and after vomiting, after some time of vomiting, the patient gets temperature. So, these are some of the fascinating signs which are seen in acute appendicitis. This is purely theoretical. It is asked in exams. Some of these entrance exams, they are very fond of asking these ridiculous signs, as well as some of these old time examiners. To have fun, they might ask these signs to the exam going students. I have made one more video on the Mantril score or the Alvarado score. Please have a look at it. Thank you.